Hello, everybody. How are you doing? How is everybody? What's the mood? What's the mood today? What does everybody think about the protests today that were held nationwide? I think, like I said in my video, I think it was a resounding success. And I think it proves just how effective these nationwide protests can actually be. Hey, Steve, how you doing? So, yeah, what's everybody's thoughts on the protest today? And yeah, Jack, a lot of people forget that. A lot of people forget that it wasn't really the Labour Party going after Tom Robinson. Consecutive Tory leaders have gone after him as well. It was the Tory Party as well. People seem to forget that, but then they are the Uni Party. I only saw the weather. Yeah. My point is though, and I think this is it made my point for me that the turnout for the far left was a lot lower because it was countrywide than if it had just been one protest in one specific place. And I think that shows that this tactic is a good tactic to have. Because look what happened. They were divided. The left was divided, and it showed just how many there really are. There are not thousands in every town and city. There are just a mere handful. They only come out and look impressive in number is when you've got one protest in one place. Then they can bust them in from all over the country. And that's how they get their numbers up. And that's how they give this false impression that they're a majority, when in reality, they are really just a very, very tiny minority in our society. And I think today that the actual protest showed that and showed what a really good tactic it is to divide it up and have these protests in every town and city. So what Steve's got to say, don't forget it, and don't forget it. Nigel is aiding and abetting. And my caps lock is stuck, yeah. How the fuck is the UK independent when the government is trying to kill its own people, like what they're doing to Tom currently? They're not. They're a communist regime, and that's their intention. Jack, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to kill him. They want to kill him, and we have to now look, because before they couldn't comment on individual cases in Parliament, but now the government has actively intervened in trying to keep Tommy in prison. Questions can be asked of them in Parliament, say, well, why are you specifically targeting this British citizen to remain in prison? Why are you going after him so hard? Questions need to be asked in Parliament now. And this is one for Rupert Lowe. Question is interfering. They claim they're interfering in an individual and saying, oh, actively interfering in this case. So questions need to be asked of them. And quite frankly, I think the opposition is pathetic. I think Kemi Badenoch is absolutely pathetic in holding Keir Starmer to account. I think the Reform Party is pathetic in holding Keir Starmer to account. I mean, look at the absolute shit show over the Jagos Islands. You know, Nigel Farage with the absolute total Brexit betrayal surrender deal that Keir Starmer's done, the reset with the EU deal. And yet we've got Nigel Farage couldn't even be bothered to be in Parliament when that treaty was read out. This is a guy who claims that he came back to politics to save the country, yet couldn't wait 2 days to go on holiday because he was, when was it read? The treaty was read on the Tuesday, and the recess of Parliament for its summer recess was Thursday. You're not telling me he couldn't wait 2 days to put his holiday on hold and be in Parliament for Prime Minister's question times to ask some serious questions of Keir Starmer? You know, they keep saying that he's going to put country before party. You know, he can't even put country before his own holiday or his own tan. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Hey, Bluebell, how you doing? The problem is the left, because it's affiliated with the trade unions, they can organise coaches, but when the Unite the Nation rally tried it, they stopped it. They were stopped from hiring coaches. Yeah. This is another good reason though why the protests need to be countrywide, because it divides the left's numbers. That's what needs to happen. So I'm going to I'm stuttering, and Vince is stuttering. Yeah, I was going to have people on the live stream tonight, but I think I'm not going to be able to. The signal up here is not very good. I think we're about to have a thunderstorm actually, and the signal isn't very good on the where the last place I was at, the last house I was at, all the cables for the internet were underground, so weather didn't really affect live streams or anything like that. Here, the cables are actually overhead, so adverse weather conditions affect live streams and internet strength now. So that's something I've got to kind of adapt to. I'm out in the sticks now, I'm out in the country, so I'm actually thinking about getting Starlink from a Tesla, set it up in the back garden, because I've heard that even in adverse weather conditions, the internet connection is fantastic and the streaming is awesome with that. I have been looking into that as well. But before I answer any more questions, there's some things I want to get off my chest about some of the comments today. So I got asked to do an update video about the house today, so I thought I'd do it. I think a lot of people mistakenly think that I'm not appreciative of being given a council house. I am, trust me, I am. I'm very, very appreciative. But I've got to reiterate, right, the thing that boiled my piss about this entire situation is, and I know this is the standard for everybody that goes into a council house. I really do. I know this is the standard. But this is what really gets to me about this whole situation. It's the fact that we were made homeless, you know, from no fault of our own. Our landlord went bust. The bank repossessed the house, and we were given a time limit to get out. Now, through no fault of our own, we were told by the local council, the homeless team, that we couldn't, if we left the property of our own volition before the date of the eviction, then we would be classed as making ourselves homeless and we wouldn't be given any help. That's what they told us. So we had to wait in the property until we got an eviction notice. And once we got the eviction notice, once that was live, we were then classed as legally homeless and the council could help us, which was fair enough. They put us up in a guest house. We had to pay for that, by the way. We had to pay for the guest house ourselves. The council didn't pay for it. And we had to pay for all our own food, which is okay. That's fair enough. I understand that, but I'm getting to it in a minute. I'm getting to the reason why all this really boiled my piss about all of this, right? So we were given a council house that was just a shell. You've seen it. It's just a shell. And that's fine. That's what happens in these places. The thing is, what really gets on my nerves is the fact that we've got people coming into this country that have not paid into the system, and they're given everything. They're given 3 square meals a day. They're given vouchers to go out and buy clothes. and all other kinds of things. They're giving everything to them. Yet there's me and my family, and it's just me and my family. There's thousands of other people in a similar situation to I am, and they're given little to no help whatsoever. We were just dumped in this house without any furniture or anything, and said, "Here you go, that's it," and washed their hands off us. The homeless team closed the case, and that was it. Fend for yourself. Whereas we've got people coming to this country, and you've seen it on my channel. They were in the country for 2 weeks. And they were given a house, fully carpeted, fully furnished. And that's down to me. That's coming out of my taxpayer money that I've paid into the system. So I'm not being not appreciative of having a council house. I'm more angry about the situation that I've had to fend for myself while complete strangers coming to this country are given everything. To me, that help should have been given to me. We were in desperate need. We were, basically struggling, but we didn't get any help at all. That's what gets on my nerves. So I'm not dissing the house. The house is awesome. It's brilliant. I'm just more angry at the situation that we've had to struggle, even though we've paid into the system all our lives. And then we've got complete strangers coming to the country who'll get everything. That's what annoys me. That's what gets on my tits about this whole situation. It's like I said, it's not that I'm not appreciative of getting a council house. I am. It's the fact that we got little to no help once we got put in the council house. And I know other people that have only just come to the country are getting everything given to them. That's what annoys me. So I'm done with that now. I'm not going to mention the house anymore now. There'll be no more updates about the house now. I'll show everybody what it's like once we've done it and stuff like that, but I'm not going to mention it anymore because I think people tend to take it the wrong way when I talk about it. But yeah, another thing was as well, right? I made an announcement today about the way this channel is going and the way forward that I'm going to take it. And I really want to be a citizen journalist. I'm paying for all this out of my own pocket. All the equipment and everything that I'm getting, it's coming out of my own pocket. I'm not crowdfunding. I'm not begging for it. I'm not putting links in videos asking for money. This is on me. This is something that I want to do, and I will pay for it myself. I had people coming into the comments. I'm not going to mention their names, but they were saying basically, "Oh, you should, if you're on benefits, you should get a job," and all this kind of stuff and everything like that. For their information, that what you get on universal credit is an absolute pittance. I'm not going to tell what I get because it's an absolute pittance. You don't get. It's not the grand life that people make out it is. It's not. It's really not. But to get the most out of the system, you've got to be a certain ethnic minority, if you know what I mean. And you've got to know how to game the system. Well, I'm not into gaming the system. I want to pay my way in life. And that's what I fully intend to do. And I had a particular comment and it was surprising really because it was from a veteran. And they were saying that they'd got severe PTSD, but they'd managed to make a good life for themselves and all that kind of thing. And you know what? I've got nothing against that. I truly, I'm 100% behind that person. Great, you got yourself out. But PTSD is a very individual thing. No two people have the same PTSD. And when I see people say, "Oh, I've got severe PTSD," everybody has got severe PTSD. It's severe. It's your own personal battle. It's severe for you. That's how I see it. And I don't judge anybody that's got PTSD. Like I said in the comment, I always try to help them in their struggle, and I always will. It wasn't a very helpful comment because it was more or less in a roundabout way saying, "Oh, I've got PTSD, I've got a job, so you should be able to get a job as well." No, everybody's different. PTSD affects everybody in a different way. It's like depression. Depression affects everybody in a different way. Some people can cope with it really well, some others can't. And that's what happens to a lot of veterans as well. They come back from wherever they've been, if they've been serving out and they've seen action, a lot of action. Some of them just can't fit back into society anymore. They can't. They're institutionalized. They come back to civilian life and they just can't fit in. And that's what I was like. That's what I was like when I came back. I couldn't fit in to normal civilian life again. I was a completely different person. And that's why you see a lot of veterans out on the street. They just can't fit back into society. They can't do a 9 to 5 job. Depending on what PTSD they've got, it's just debilitating. Some people have got the strength to get through it. And like I said, everybody's different. It's not taken away from anybody else just because somebody's managed to make good of their life. That's great. That's fantastic. Somebody's won a victory against PTSD, but not everybody wins. For some people, it's something that will be with them all their life, and it's an everyday struggle, like it is for me. I struggle with it every day. It's a demon that's with you for all your life, and you have to manage and control it. And the way I manage and control it is by doing security work. That's my profession. That's what I do. I've picked that profession because I can't work in a factory. I can't work in that sort of environment, in a stressful, fast-moving environment. That's how I manage my anxiety and PTSD. I did those jobs when I first came back. I worked in a foundry. I grafted in a foundry for about 3 or 4 years. And I just couldn't do it. I grafted doing the factory, doing the picking orders, working in a warehouse and that kind of thing, a big warehouse. I worked in a big distribution center. And I'll tell you a story. We'll get back onto things in a minute, but I'll tell you a story about what happened. So it was great because I could just go at my own pace, pick the orders, get them wrapped, get them out the door. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. It's the people that you work with that are the issue. It's the managers, it's the supervisors, it's the team leaders. This is a flaw. I find it hard to play well with others. I really do. That is a character flaw on my part. When I admit it, it is. But this particular team leader was an arsehole. He was a proper arsehole. He was, you had to literally run around like a blue arse fly to get these orders picked. You had a certain amount of items you had to pick an hour. And, it kept you on your toes, it kept you fit, and I enjoyed it. But when you've got an arsehole constantly mouthing off at you, you're never good enough. You whatever you do, even if you get all your orders out in record time, it's never good enough for these people. And after being in Iraq and leading people into combat, into battle and stuff like that, having that kind of brotherhood, that camaraderie, and then coming back here to where people just stab you in the back and they don't have each other's backs, it's all about themselves. I just couldn't fit into that environment. I just can't fit into that environment. I just can't. And that's just my PTSD. I get anxious and it just goes off on one because I get my anger levels go really high because I'm not tolerant of idiots. And a lot of these team leaders, and especially nowadays when it's all this diversity, equity, and inclusion crap, they shouldn't be in leadership roles. And I just tell them, you're an idiot, you're a moron. And I don't like bullies. And a lot of these people are bullies. And this particular team leader one night just wound me up the wrong way. He was constantly on at me. And I told him, I says, do not get in my face. Do not shout at me because I will put you on your arse. And I just walked off the job. I'd had enough. I walked off the job. And I knew that working in that sort of environment just wasn't for me. And I know many other people feel that way as well. It's like I said, and I'm not making excuses. This isn't a sob story. I'm just trying to tell you how it is for people like me and others. We find it hard to fit into society anyway. When I came back, I couldn't. My friends just didn't understand. They thought I was the same person beforehand, before I went away. And I wasn't. I was different. And they were treating me like this person. And eventually, even my friends, I just dropped my friends. I just couldn't relate to them anymore. I couldn't relate to their lives. It was so petty to me. But yeah, this isn't a sob story. I'm just trying to make it clear to people that, PTSD is a very, very individual thing, and it affects people in different ways. So you might find your way out of it. Some people can't, and they have other ways of coping with it. And that's why I don't judge anybody that's got PTSD, because it's a very individual battle. It's a very personal thing. And I don't judge anybody. If somebody says to me, I've got PTSD, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to judge them because, they're going through that battle. And it's not my place to judge them on what they're going through, because it's very, very individual and unique. When I came back, I did group therapy, and you talk to other people that have been through it, and you realize that it's very, very individual. It's completely different for some people than it is for me. There are some similarities. There are a lot of similarities, but it's very individual. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. But please don't come to the comments and try and judge me on things that you know nothing about. There's a lot you don't know about me. I mean, I'm quite open with what I've told people about my life, but there are a lot of things that I haven't told people about, and that's personal to me. And people come and they try and judge you on the little information that you have given out without knowing the full facts. And nobody will ever know the full facts, because I'm never going to release that onto the internet. That's very private to me. Exactly, Bluebell. Right. The other thing I'm asking of my audience is just to watch my videos, like, share, and subscribe. That's it. And but we'll take it from there. We'll see what happens. It's okay to fail, but I feel that if I don't try it, I don't want any what ifs in my life. That what about if I'd have done that, or what about if I'd have done this? Obviously, I'm going to be. I've got things in the pipeline regarding work at the minute, and they will pan out. They will pay for certain things. And that was another thing as well, right? I had another comment saying that they were disappointed that I didn't go to the national strike protest today. Unfortunately, it's fallen at a time when I just can't do it. I'm not prepared yet. I think when I went to that communist gala, and I had my phone stolen. By the way, I'll show everybody, right? This is what you helped get. The people that donated, right? You helped me get this phone. So I'll show you the phone. Right. So this is the new phone. You probably can't see it. It's got hang on. Might have to put a light in a minute. This is a new phone. It's a Samsung. It's a Samsung Pro. I took people's advice. I got the reconditioned. I got a reconditioned phone. Still cost me £200, but it's a Pro, so it allows me to do live streams and stuff on this like I could on my laptop if I ever need to. But yeah, people were saying we're disappointed that you didn't go to the national strike protests. I'm just not prepared for it. Like I said, when I went to that communist gala, I was totally unprepared. I've been to a few protests before, and I didn't realise how much their tactics have actually changed, and how much is that actually working now? Is it paused? Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Is the live stream just paused? We're breaking up a little bit. It's slowing the stream down. Is it all good? Great. It's all good. You can hear me then. Great. Yeah. There's some equipment that I need to get. before I go to any more of these protests. I'm just not prepared for it. I've got a body cam, professional security body cam that I'm going to take with me. That's going to be recording the whole time. I'm getting a brand new GoPro because the other one that I've got the old GoPro for, that's just not. It's overheating now, and I think it's going to give up the ghost at any point. So there are things that I need to get before I go to these protests. I've even put a stab-proof vest on the list because you never know. I've heard from people that the far left are now carrying knives and are slashing people. So I think precaution needs to be taken before I go and do any more of these protests. I need to be equipped. I wouldn't dream of going off into battle without being fully prepared. You know, I could have gone today. I could have taken that phone and gone, and then I could have got it snatched again, and then I'm back to square one. I know. I think people, the person in the comments said, you know, I sound like I was worried about losing my phone. Yeah, I'm worried about losing my phone because that's my lifeline at the minute, and I can't afford to lose another one. Eventually, I'll probably take people's advice and buy, you know, an old phone and refurbish it, a refurbished phone, and use that for streaming when I go out and try and secure it somehow so it can't be snatched. But yeah, that's the reason I didn't go today. I'm just not prepared to do it yet. I wish I was. I wish it had come at a time when I was ready to go, and I would have gone. You know, to be honest with you, I would have most likely. There was one at Mansfield. I think there's one at Sheffield. I would have most likely probably gone to one at Manchester. Gone to that one, and I think once I'm fully set up, I'm going to be covering one of the pro-Hamas Palestine marches in Manchester. Go to one of the big ones, and you know, do some video in there and get it. Because, like I said in that video today, I want to put boots on the ground. I want to be on the front line. I don't want to be behind a computer screen all the time. I want to be out and about, making a difference. That's what I want to do. But yeah. So look at some of the comments. I didn't go to the Newcastle one today. I've got to be careful with the councillor who tried to say I'd section 71 PDQ harassment. Right, okay, fair enough. I've just tuned in. I'm rewinding. Just heard about regarding my comment. Yeah, mate. I'm just saying that everybody's experience with PTSD is very individual, and I know you probably weren't trying to do this, but it felt like it to me that you were judging me on my PTSD, and you know, I'm really pleased that you managed to sort your life out and get your life. We're stuck with it, and it's taken me a very, very long time. I don't know what your circumstances are, and I don't want to know what your circumstances are. You know, I think if I told you what happened, you'd understand why I am the way that I am. But it's very personal, and it's not something that I'm going to broadcast out over the internet and talk about it, because talking about it triggers it. And it's very, very raw. And even I don't even really talk about it much with my own partner. I don't. She knows things. She knows certain things about what happened and stuff like that. But apart from that, a lot of it is, well, it's still very raw. Let's just say that. I went to the Leeds one today, and the turnout was disappointing. The lefties narrowly outnumbered us, but there was no trouble. We turned our backs to them. Exactly. That's what people need to do. And like I said, we're stretching their numbers. When you do these protests in every town and city, you're stretching their numbers out so they're meaningless. Eventually, you will outnumber them. You will, because more and more people will come to the cause They'll see that you're standing out proud, and they will get the courage to do it themselves. They will come and join you. And then eventually, you'll win. You'll win, you'll outnumber them. And then they won't be able to say that anymore. There are many, many more of us than you, because it's a lie. It's a complete lie. And we've seen that today. The numbers on both sides were comparable. There aren't thousands upon thousands of these lefties in every town and city. There's just a handful. The only reason they look impressive is when you do one protest and they can focus all their numbers in one spot. If you divide them up, they look pathetic. There's merely handfuls of them. When I went to that gala in Chesterfield, I was expecting massive turnout. It was negligible, and even then they had to bus people in to fill in a little tiny town square. They bust in from all over. They come from Matlock, they come from Sheffield, and all the other places, and there was literally a handful of them. They don't have the numbers they say they do. They're not a majority. They're a minority. At least you attended, and they'll only grow from now on. Exactly. That's exactly right. Miller, from what I saw, yeah, you really managed to piss them off. When you turn your back on them, they got very confused. Exactly. They don't have to deal with that. And this is something else that I want to bring up as well, right? Regarding the lefties. I think it's time that we start to take the language back. It's time we start to call them what they are. We call them communists. We don't refer to them as stand up to racism or hope not hate. We just call them what they are, communists. That's what they are. Extremist, far left, communists. It destroys their narrative. And like I said in my video earlier, you don't even have to engage with these people. You don't have to debate them. You don't have to shout at them. All you have to do is stand there and stand your ground and just let them be themselves. They will do all the work for you. They will show people exactly what they are, how nasty they are, how bitter they are, and that they're not on the right side of history. They're on the wrong side of history. All right. Let me see, I'll look at some of the comments. So, yeah, Jack, definitely. Howard Cox is lagging a little bit. Oh, come on. Howard Cox would have been a better. This is why I think that London Mayor should be voted in by the entire country, not just the constituents of London. If Sadiq Khan chooses to represent the whole country in what he says, then the whole country should elect him as Mayor of London. I think that should be the way anyway, because London represents the whole country as its capital city, and as its capital city, London Mayor should be voted in by everybody in this country, just as the Prime Minister is voted in by everybody in this country, well, the party, you know what I mean? The threat of the far left is unholy commie jihad alliance. Yeah, exactly. When the Leeds people turned their backs on the few commies, tried to rush the national strike line. Yeah, exactly. And the police were, some aspects, weren't doing their job. I think, I can't remember where it was. I was watching all the protests, and one protest, they had to literally shout at the police, push them back, because the police were allowing them through their lines. And instead of just arresting the people for blocking the road, the lefties, they just told them to get off the road. Towson did a live earlier, and the counter protesters were shouting "Free Palestine," and they shouted "IDF, IDF." Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to play them at their own game. And what I liked as well, tactics are starting to be used now as well, because the counter protesters always have loudspeakers and megaphones, and this time around, the national strike people also have loudspeakers, and they drown them out. They drown them out. And that's what needs to happen. You need to use their own tactics against them. So I would invite somebody in, but the live stream is, I'm looking at the streaming, um, and it's very, very weak at the minute. We already know whose side the police are on. Yeah, we know. Steve, there were 2 rows of metal fences between us and a 15-metre gap. Brighton was violent because Antifa turned up. Yeah, totally agree with you. I live in London and I don't vote for that hypocrite Khan. Yeah, it should be the entire country voting for the mayor of London. If he wants to go and act like a diplomat speaking for the country, then he needs to be voted in for the whole country, because what he says doesn't represent what I think at all. And he doesn't represent 99% of the entire country either. He just doesn't. I heard you're going to focus on journalism. Have you thought about doing a merger with XBET to represent each community of the UK? Right. So my intention is that I'm going to go out and cover the protests, and cover these protests that the mainstream media won't cover. And, be a voice, be the alternative voice, because what do we hear all the time when the mainstream media cover these protests? Far right activists, causing trouble. And I just want to cover that, and get the alternative viewpoint out there that is never shown on the mainstream media. And it's like what others have said, right? That there are a lot of people out there that are quite big on YouTube, that have got very, very different, that are in the movement, that are in the Patriot movement, but they've got very, very different political beliefs. We are a very diverse bunch when it comes to political belief. I mean, a lot of people will push the Reform Party that have got huge subscriber counts, and I just don't feel there's a voice to counter that at the minute that's just as big as they are, to put the other alternatives forward. Yeah, we've got Richard Inman. He talks about UKIP. We've got Danny Roscoe. He talks about UKIP. But there needs to be more. There needs to be a balance, I think. Hey, hey, I'm the veteran. He slagged off. Read out my comment, Vinny, where I said I'm not over Peter and attempted to take my life, etc. Look, mate, right? Your comment was very, very judgmental towards me. In fact, you know what? You will. You're right. I'll read it out. Right? I would never do this to anybody. I would never actively judge anybody with PTSD, because you will never know the full circumstances of what they've been through. I would never judge you, and you should never judge me. That's the way I see it. And if you don't like, I mean, you started off the comment very confrontational as well. You didn't particularly handle it very well, mate. I'll find it and we'll read it out. Just try and find it. Talk amongst yourselves while I find the comment. Right, this was it. This was you. Right, this is how you started off the comment. You said, "I hope you're okay with criticism as well as praise, Vin. If you're on benefits, you shouldn't have a choice on career. I have severe PTSD and started right at the bottom when I left. On a production line amongst total idiotic teenagers, cold storage warehouses, car engineer plant and production line. I became a shift manager, and that's great. That's great for you. I'm glad you found out a way out of it, right? Then I went then I went solo and built a great life for us. I absolutely hated it and would cry alone sometimes. I was horrible to be around. I spent 9 months in a veterans PTSD unit, 8 weeks in the Priory Clinic, respite at combat stress. It nearly killed me. But with kids to feed and a mortgage, etc., I would have swept the streets. This is a huge problem in this country. People picking and choosing. Life is hard and we have to suffer sometimes. I've been in was nothing compared to World War One, World War Two heroes. And this is the point, right? Fair enough. That's how you feel, but not everybody feels like that, mate. All right. I don't think anybody with PTSD should feel diminished for how they're feeling. Yeah, the people in World War Two and World War One went through a hell of a lot more than we did, but that doesn't diminish what we've been through, as far as I'm concerned. And again, it's a little bit judgmental, really. Imagine the battle fatigue as it was known for them. They never got to pick and choose between work or benefits. I was plucking bones from salmon at one stage after 18 years service and a respectable position rank. Sorry, mate, but I'm straight talk regardless of praise or criticism. And like I said, that's fair enough, but you don't know anything about me, like I don't know anything about you. Everybody's different. Yeah? Everybody's different. I don't judge other people with PTSD and I don't make assumptions about them and I don't assume that everybody is the same as me. Yeah? That comment was very, very judgmental without knowing anything that I've been through. Fair enough, you got yourself out of it and that's good. Good for you, mate. I'm pleased for you. But you shouldn't then turn around and judge anybody else on their PTSD. Because I'm pretty sure at the time when you're at your lowest point, the last thing that you would have wanted would be for somebody to judge you. That's all I was getting at. Yeah? I don't judge anybody. If I find somebody's got PTSD, that's their struggle. No, theirs is different to mine. So I've read it out. I'm not afraid of criticism. I'm really not afraid of criticism. But to judge me when you don't know me, you don't know my situation or what I'm going through right now, it's just not on, mate. It's not on. Fair enough, you got yourself out of it. You've got a nice life for yourself. That's great. Who's to say that I won't have that in a few years' time? Maybe I'm at that low point that you are at right now. Yeah, and then you're coming back to judge me on how I am. I would never do to anybody else what you did to me in that comment. I would never judge anybody or try and diminish what they've been through by comparing them to World War One or World War Two. I've known people that have taken their lives, as probably you have. And to say that they shouldn't, they should feel guilty for how they feel, because that's kind of what you had it as hard as the people in World War Two or World War One. No, I haven't. But I've been through similar things, very, very similar things. So if you want to class that as slagging you off, fair enough. I wasn't slagging you off. I was giving an honest answer to what you said. I didn't even give your name out. I wasn't even slagging you off in public until you came forward and said it was you. What about the champagne socialist? Is they treat signs like illegal migrants virtue signaling and then chucking the signs on the floor and letting the working class deal the mess? Exactly. Activism works. Those who say it doesn't don't know what they're talking on about. Exactly. I just read out your reply. I read out your comment. If people want to go and read your reply, they can go and read your reply. It's on my video. It's on the video announcing the way I was taking the channel. Go and read it. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to try and I'll try and read out his reply. You haven't even made a reply to it. There's no reply on here. There's no reply. There's just my response to your comment. We'll read that out. So this is my response to you. Firstly, everyone is different, mate, regarding PTSD, and all PTSD is severe, in my opinion. I'm glad you got yourself sorted, buddy, but many people don't. That's why many veterans end up on the street. They never find a way to fit back into society. I was one of them, mate. I find doing security work is the best way for me to manage my PTSD. No two cases are the same. It's very individual. I'm working part-time on the doors. I signed off UC and would rather struggle and pay my own way, even though I paid into the system for 35 years without taking a penny out until now. I don't judge anyone who has PTSD. It's their battle and their struggle. I just support them in that struggle. That's what I put in response to you, mate. And I think that's a pretty, diplomatic response to what you put. And you've not responded. There's no response there. So where's your reply? I don't know where your reply is, but there's no reply to it. But that's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah. This isn't about that. Exactly. A lot of them don't. I didn't get myself sorted, mate. As you know, you don't get over PTSD. You have to learn to live with it. With CTV medication, I need to be PTSD my manager and career. Well, exactly. Why are you being so judgmental then? Why are you being so judgmental of me, knowing what you went through? That's what I don't get. Just catching up with the stream. Be aware, some people making critical comments about your channel will be what? I don't think you got the full comment there, buddy. Just catching your stream. Be aware, some people making critical comments about your channel will be the undercover investigators who are trying to demoralise and divide us. Yeah, there's a good chance of that as well. You know, people are entitled to their opinion, and I'll take on board criticism about things that I say on my channel and stuff like that. What I won't accept is people being judgmental of me when they don't even know me. You don't know half, the person I present on it is what you will see in real life, but I don't tell everybody everything, every aspect about my life. Who would? It's the internet. You know, I wouldn't even talk about this with my own family and my own partner, let alone strangers on the internet. That's why I don't judge anybody. We need to call for instructions at Downing Street, for insurrections at Downing Street and the UK Parliament to make this country back. Yeah, it sounds like you've been through hell and back. You and Vin probably have a lot in common. We probably do. You know what they say about opinions? Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody has one. Like that. Exactly. Right, I've resent it to the original reply. As it let me type in all the characters. Right, I'll read it out. Okay, I'll read it out. Yeah, I was going to say that, Steve. It's probably not a good idea, since that single tweets will probably land you in prison for about 3 years, given the Lucy Conley situation. We don't have free speech in this country anymore, and you have to be really careful what you say on social media. I'm fucking furious, mate. I sent you money. We need. Yeah, well, why are you being judgmental of me? That's what I don't understand. You're being so judgmental. Yeah, you came to my comment sections, judged me, diminished what I've been through with what you said, and you don't know anything about me. That I'm furious as well, mate. I'm furious too. There's still no comment on there. Are you sure you posted it to the right thread? Because there's nothing. I'll show you on screen. I will show you on screen. There's nothing there. Get it back up. It's definitely not showing up on that comment that you sent. Right. So this is it. This is the comment you sent. I'll put it on screen. Where are we? That's your comment. Yeah, that's your comment. I'll scroll down. Right. Yeah, that's your comment. That's the only response that's on there is one response, and that's my response. Yeah, so I don't know who you're responding to, but you're not responding to the original post. That's why I can't find it. There's nothing on there. So I don't know what you're doing, but there's definitely no response to that comment. I don't know why you're getting so upset. It's me that should be really pissed off because you came into my comment section and judged me, saying that I can't pick a profession. You don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about my situation, my current situation. I don't tell everybody my private business. Exactly. That's it. Boys, we've got more stuff to worry about than this. Exactly. Right. You know what? I'll be the bigger man. I apologize if I offended you. All right. But I responded to you. You came to my comment section and left a judgmental comment. All right. Griff Daz. You said to me, I hope you like criticism. And I just gave you criticism back. Anyway, let's get on a lighter note. I'm not going to discuss this anymore now. The problem with text messaging is that words can be taken out of exactly context because they lack the human body language and emotion element. Exactly. The thing that made me so angry was though, is that he's talking that I'm sorry about this, that he thought about taking his own life. Yeah, survivor's guilt. I had survivor's guilt when I got back. I'll tell you the story, right? I'll tell you the story about what happened to me. Is it there now? I'm logging in a few minutes behind you, Vin. All right. So I'll let everybody know now what actually happened, right? I can't go into details because I've got an NDA in place. That's a non-disclosure agreement. I can't mention places, I can't mention names, but I can tell you about the incident itself within reason. So I was involved in an IED blast. I was doing close protection out in Iraq. It was an everyday normal day, and we got caught in an IED blast. Killed every single one of my friends, every single one of them, all of them, they're dead. And I was the only one that survived. It was in a bad way, I survived. And it left me in a bad way. It left me in a really bad way. That's all I can say about that. And I'm sure that everybody else may have been through this, or they've seen bad things in combat and stuff like that. But I'm shaking now. I'm shaking. It's bad. I can still feel the heat, and I can still taste and smell everything about that. And it's hard because I'm guessing you guys know that when I was out there for 5 years with these guys, and when you're that close knit, when you're so close with people like that, they're like your brothers. And if you've never been in the military or anything like, you don't know what it's like. It's closer than family because you're literally depending on the person next to you. You're depending on those people for your life every single day, and they're depending on you for their life. And to get them taken away in an instant, all of them, never get a chance to say goodbye. You'll never see their faces again. They're gone. And that affects you in ways that I can't comprehend and I can't put into words. So I've got to spare the graphic details because obviously YouTube won't allow it and stuff like that. And I don't particularly want to go into it personally. But yeah, I read the report afterwards. I was back in Britain after it. They did an inquiry. The company I was with did an inquiry. There was an independent inquiry, heavily redacted. There were rumours that the company that we were involved in was, let's just say, involved in certain other agencies. That's about as much as I can say about that. And that's the reason we were targeted. That's all I can say about that. But yeah, I have a hard time remembering stuff about that time. I got severe head injuries, the scars on the back of my head and stuff. I was buried for 8 hours under rubble till I was found. Yeah, not good. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm done. Let's just say it wasn't good. So you can imagine coming back to this country and then trying to fit back into civilian life and realizing you never can because you're a completely different person. And I'm not saying people can't do that and get their life in order, but you're never the same again. You never are. Yeah. That's my partner. She's coming to my defense now. But yeah, I want to get away from this because it's exactly. Thank you. Yeah, let's change it. Let's get out of that. I use X cesspool, but yeah. Unreal, mate. Sorry for your loss, your friends out there, and how that's affected you since. Yeah, and I'm sure whatever happened to Gaz, Daz, it affected him as well. It really does, and I just want to get away from it, really. Look out, the long-haired general is on the case. Oh God. Like I said, I've seen some shit, getting off that subject. I've been out in Iraq and I've seen what ISIS slash Hamas are capable of. When I see these pro Hamas marchers, and that's why I got so passionate on that gala, because they have no clue. These people have no clue what these people are capable of. I've seen firsthand what these people are capable of. And it makes me laugh when they call me racist or they call me white supremacist. When for 5 years I was out in a foreign country protecting Iraqis from basically Arabic Nazis, because that's basically what ISIS were. They were like Islamic Nazis. I'm going off now, Vin, but you need me to talk. You left out a major part of my story. Mate, I think you've told your story. All right? And I'm sorry if I offended you. All right? We'll just leave it at that. Yeah? Which is in the comments. I won't be airing. The problem is that we have Nazi at home these days with, yeah. It's good. It's come up to an hour. I'm just going to end it here. I know I wanted to say some more stuff, but I'm going to end the stream tonight. I don't really feel like carrying on, guys. I really don't. I'll do a live stream tomorrow at some point. Okay. This is Vindicator signing off.